I don't know if you guys were watching the Super Bowl or not over the weekend, or maybe tuned on to the halftime show, and you may have caught a glimpse of this. This is according to The Hill. Super Bowl halftime performer detained after unfurling Sudanese Palestinian flag. That is pretty ballsy, ladies and gentlemen. That's pretty ballsy that that happened. And I didn't watch the Super Bowl. I tried. Football's not really my forte. I couldn't care less if I watched the Super Bowl or not. Halftime, maybe I'll try to tune in. Again, it's one of those things that I can watch it or leave it. I don't really care. But knowing this, kind of regrets with not witnessing that moment on live TV because this is pretty big, ladies and gentlemen. So, a performer in Kendrick Lamar's Super Bowl halftime show was detained late Sunday after showing a Sudanese Palestinian flag on the field. The NFL confirmed to the Associated Press that the individual will be banned for life of all NFL stadiums and events. Banned for life for waving a flag, for having a conscience, for looking and understanding the world that we're in right now. Wow. And for those who still mumble about, oh, well, it's the NFL, there shouldn't be politics on the field, leave that at home, all these Colin Kaepernick bending the knee, woke people, I don't want that in the game. You're talking about the NFL. The NFL that has a flyover after every game, the fact that they're so patriotic to symbolically gesture and motivate people and manipulate people to support the heinous actions of our military industrial complex. You don't think you're not concerned about that, but you'll be concerned about someone waving a Palestinian flag, just showing some solidarity to the fact that the United States and the Western Hemisphere aided to the complete wipeout of their entire civilization. The New Orleans Police Department also said authorities were working to determine applicable charges in the incident. No PD, NOPD, I should say, said in a statement to The Hill that the individual detained, an adult black male, was ejected from the stadium after the incident. No arrest or summons was issued, NOPD added, such as the individual will not be identified. The NOPD also said it would be working with the NFL and the halftime production team to ascertain any affiliation the individual may have with Lamar's performance. The individual stood on a prop car used in the performance and unfurled a combination flag with the words Sudan and Gaza written on it. Now that's pretty interesting. That's pretty interesting and ballsy that this guy did this, and I congratulate him on this. And it's also interesting that not only does he have Gaza for obvious reasons, we know what Gaza's about, we know why showing the solidarity of the Palestinian flag for people are aware of that, but also showing support for Sudan. And for those who don't know, Sudan has been under occupation, militarized occupation, restrictions, sanctions, and oppression by the UAE, by the United Arab Emirates. And that's pretty interesting that that brought to attention to the NFL because not a lot of people pay attention to what the UAE is capable of doing to the Sudanians or to the Sudanese. Uh, and the fact that that never got any attention until this guy actually not only pointing out Gaza, but also brought attention to Sudan. That's also a wreck that we're also putting aside money towards, and the mainstream media doesn't talk about it. They don't want to point the finger at the UAE, probably because it's one of those countries that we like to do business with. They're an ally. So we can't actually criticize our allies. Don't you know that? You can't criticize your friends, even if they do war crimes, genocides, mass slaughters. You can't actually point those things out because it will wreck the business. It will tarnish the allyship and the partnership that those countries have. That's what people in the State Department would tell you. The NFL told the AP that the performer hid the flag during the beginning of the show and revealed it late in the performance. No one involved in production reportedly knew of his plans. The performance continued without major disruption, and the flag did not appear to be shown in the live broadcast of Lamar's halftime performance, the AP noted. So here's just a little video here. Obviously, I can't play the audio for copyright reasons, so I axed out the audio. But here's the video of the man who was a performer, not just a random person in the stands, but an actual legit performer of Kendrick Lamar's halftime performance, showing solidarity and showing a clear conscience of our heinous situation with foreign affairs and really paying attention to the news instead of just broadcasting the same old status quo brought to you by Pfizer, Moderna, Pepsi, whatever. Listen to this. Look at that. There's security there. Now he's running off stage. Obviously, he's trying to dodge the guards and personnel that are coming onto the field. Way to go, man. Way to go. And look at that. They're dragging him. They're kicking him down and dragging him for a flag. For a flag. To show some sort of empathy, some sort of soul, and regret of our heinous actions in the regards of the genocide of Gazans and Palestinians alike. Our heinous actions, the fact that we're sending, 20,000-pound bombs to Israel, the fact that we're jeopardizing the ceasefire agreement as we're showing you this, as we're still sending money to Israel, we're bringing Netanyahu to the White House. Trump is serving him hand and foot to aid this genocide. And just like what happened with Joe Biden, the whole sympathetic, oh, I feel bad for the Palestinians, I feel bad, we should maybe consider something. Even Trump to say, oh, we're going to, get them out of the harm's way and we're going to rebuild and then we're going to bring those people back in. That's a load of crap, ladies and gentlemen. That is a load of big ass crap. Because if anyone knows anything, if anyone knows and has seen the trajectory of the whole Zionist movement, the Greater Israel Project, which is the whole purpose of all this, the reason the genocide went on, the reason they went into Lebanon, the reason that they're taking the Syrian territory, all of this has nothing to do with humanitarianism. So spare me the crocodile tears of the Zionist people, of the Zionist sheep that go boo-hoo and talk about, well, we're only trying to stop Hamas, we're only trying to stop the terrorists, and then the Palestinians support them, and we had to kill them because they're running everything. Spare me the crap. Spare me the crap. I literally have no patience for those people because they will bend themselves into a goddamn pretzel and expose their true colors, not intentionally, but by accident, revealing the true colors and the fact that they don't care about the hostages. They never cared about October 7th, because if they actually paid attention to October 7th, they would understand that the people at the event were suing the IDF, not Hamas, not Palestine. They were suing the IDF because they knew that it was not surveilled correctly. There was not enough security. They knew because they got intelligence reports by Israel, by Palestine, and by Egypt that October 7th was going to happen. And guess what? It did. And it gave them the false flag start to initialize a genocide. And they had every opportunity, even right now, they have every opportunity to do a ceasefire, to get as many of the hostages back as possible, negotiate a peace deal, and end this. But they don't want to end it. because it's not about people. It's not about people. It's doing whatever it takes, taking out anyone that stands in their way of their cult movement. And that includes Palestinians, that includes other Arabs, that includes Jewish people. That's why Zionists and Judaism do not correlate. They're not the same. And in fact, Zionism is a threat to Judaism. They will take down anybody and everyone to move forward with this heinous action. So kudos to this guy for actually bringing this attention to one of the largest broadcasts in the nation. The Super Bowl, it had what, 120 some odd million viewers? And they were trying to hide this as much as possible, but thank God for the internet. Thank God for Twitter. Thank God for social media to expose this. The same social media that AIPAC, the ADL, and all these other nefarious organizations want to shut down because they want to keep you silent. So kudos to that guy. That's awesome. And I know in the article they didn't mention his identity. They didn't mention his identity purposely because they didn't want word to get out. Obviously, they don't want to put any threat on him if word got out, if God forbid something happens, because you don't know in these days. You really don't know in these days. But someone figured it out. This guy, Zul Karanin. I'm sorry if I mispronounced the name. I'm sorry if I mispronounce. But this is his profile on Instagram here. Says he's a financial freedom fighter. Only cry emoji to God because he answers to me. And it looks like has a clothing brand. According to this, this may be his business profile. Maybe that's the case. Maybe this is the business profile on Instagram. That's what it apparently looks like. But there's the guy there that waved the Sudanese Palestinian flag, showing solidarity, showing some clear consciousness of the horrific disaster that's unfolding in the Middle East, and continues to do so as Trump is now mentioning, we'll just take over Gaza and we'll build a bunch of casinos and hotels. We'll make it the Malibu of the Middle East. It'll be perfect. It'll be like Vegas. We'll make it like Epcot. People will come in pores and world people will just collide. Give me a break. Give me a freaking break. Again, nothing to do with humanity, nothing to do with saving the Palestinians, because they're serving the Zionist interests. And the Zionist interests, as you recall, all those interviews that we've seen with Abby Martin and other people that talk directly to them, want them eliminated. Period. And full stop. Eliminated. They had every opportunity to save people. They had every opportunity to stop this, and they wouldn't. Because they wanted to occur, because they wanted these false flag initiatives to occur to build a pretext to allow this genocide to continue on. And right now, there's supposed to be a ceasefire and going through the steps of bringing hostages and negotiating and bring the hostages back from Palestine and Israel. And that's now being jeopardized. That's now being jeopardized because now Netanyahu's come to the United States. Trump and him are talking about, making this real estate deal and saying, well, if you don't have the hostages back by Saturday, it's off my hands and all hell will break loose. Again, nothing to do with humanity whatsoever. So, luckily, now that they found out who this guy is, and now that we know a bit of information, backstory of this guy, Al Jazeera brought him into for an interview and wanted to talk to him about, obviously why he did it and what his reaction is. And does he feel any regrets knowing that he's not going to be able to attend a football arena, which it's the least of his problems. I'm just going to say that. That's the least of your problems, because when you go after the huge Zionist cults, devilish, ghoulish kind of cancer that's eroded into our society, the punishment could be a lot worse. The punishment could be a lot worse. So here's what went down.
NFL says you'll now be banned for life from all NFL stadiums, from all events. What's your response to the ban, and would you still have done it if you'd known the risks?
I'm sorry, that was just... Did you see his face reaction
NFL
there?
says you'll now be banned for life from all NFL stadiums, from all events. What's your response to the ban, and would you still have done it if you'd known the risks?
The risk of a ban? I was afraid I was going to get sniped by a Secret Service's bullet.
You worried you may find it difficult to get work again, given what happened?
I trust in God, brother. I wanted to pass that. I fear God more than I fear man. I fear loss of wealth. I fear loss of anything else. I fear losing the pleasure of Allah. And it was clear to me with the signs of the show that Kendrick had the American flag and human bodies. He had his PG Lane flags. And it was also many signs for me to show those flags to show how we're all connected.
Yes, because I think you mentioned in a previous interview that Kendrick Lamar was a source of influence for your protest at halftime. So what was it about Lamar that you drew inspiration from?
It wasn't a source of inspiration. I believe I was inspired by a creator, but he was confirmation. Seeing his show, when him talking about the revolution being televised, him having scenes where the American flag is made out of in a human formation, him having his own company's flags flying around. I saw those all as signs for me to incorporate the flag. Him having Samuel L. Jackson playing Uncle Sam, the whole theme being conscious, revolutionary, to make one's consciousness rise and show unification of people. And I thought that I could contribute to taking it to the next level with this activism and protest and enlightenment to make other people aware of what's going on in other parts of the world. A lot of people didn't know what was going on in Gaza. A lot of people didn't know what was going on in Sudan, and they feel like they're not being represented properly. So I had the opportunity to represent them on a global scale, and I had to take that opportunity. Yeah, and just even to get the prayers of the people. Okay, it was worth it just to get the prayers of the Palestinians and the Sudanese.
Yeah, in response to your protest, the NFL says you'll now be banned for life from all NFL stadiums, from all events. What's your response to the ban, and would you still have done it if you'd known the risks?
The risk of a ban? I was afraid I was going to get sniped by a Secret Service's bullet. I can watch a football program on the television if I choose to, sir. And I don't.
Amen, brother. A friggin' men. Wow. What a trooper that guy is. That right there, that shows true patriotism, ladies and gentlemen. That is pretty incredible what he did. And the fact that he makes this, he not only makes a statement of the fact that we need to bring attention to something that your tax dollars are paying for, by the way. We know this from USAID. We know this from APAC. We know this from also, all the military aid that we subsidize to Israel to allow this genocide to further into just wiping out the entire existence of Palestinians, the entire existence of a population. But also just to mention the human aspect, to mention the spiritual aspect, to say that we're all interconnected, to make the point that, they showed the American flag. They had Sam L. Jackson playing Uncle Sam. And why does the Palestinians' lives are valued less than Americans' lives or Israeli lives or anyone's lives at this point? If we're all interconnected, if we're all truly God's children, as, preachers would say, but the same preachers would also argue that, we got to wipe out this population because Jesus is going to return there. So we got to clean everything up to make sure Jesus has a nice landing pad in Gaza. I ask those same people, I ask those Christian Zionists, which again goes to show you Zionism has nothing to do with Judaism, because anyone can be a Zionist. You can be a Catholic Zionist, for God's sakes. You can be a Hindu Zionist. It's nothing to do with religion. It's a political prophecy. It's all politicized. It's all for geopolitics. It's for warped up warmongers like Netanyahu to further along his agenda of mass slaughtering. It has nothing to do with any religious aspect, but they masquerade it so they could sell it to you, so they could sell it to a bunch of chumps and tell you that some biblical proportion and, oh, in the Bible, we have to wipe out an entire race of people because the return of God might happen. The rapture, something, oh my God, we have to do this. But he just said perfectly, we're all interconnected. We're all human beings. We're all trying to find our means to survive. So why the hell is our tax dollars allocating to slaughter and wipe away populations when we got, people in the streets that are dying of hunger? How are we not helping our veterans? How are we not helping the people that lost everything in Los Angeles during the wildfires, or North Carolina with the hurricane, or Lahaina with their fires, or East Palestine, Ohio, or Flint, Michigan that still doesn't have clean water? So spare me your goddamn Zionist crocodile tears and your anger because, oh my God, he brought politics to the football game. It's so well. The NFL has been captured by political regime for many years. Since about, 2006? Even before then. Right after 9/11. That's when everything was captured. Everything was symbolic. You had to be America first. Everything had to be America. And if you didn't support it 1,010%, then you're somehow a terrorist. You're somehow a treasonist. And now, here we are, because Zionists have completely taken over the state of America, the foreign affairs and everything. So now if you don't agree with Israel, if you don't agree, you're worse than Hitler in the eyes of a pure, evil, cultish monster. That's what these Zionists are. They're sinister, soulless cult followers that only care about extending their superiority. And we've seen that with interviews. You know who else talks about their superiority of their race? Nazis, white supremacists, the Ku Klux Klan. Notice how they all intertwine the same way? How they all have kind of the same lingo? Imagine that. But somehow in 2025, we're still allowed to give them money. And anyone that critiques them, anyone that boycotts them, anyone that says anything that holds them accountable for the heinous actions that you can see openly is threatened. Not only by their career, threatened by anything. They're cracking down on peaceful protesters. They're cracking down on people that want to boycott, divest, and sanction. They're creating laws to deface the First Amendment to appease the situation in Israel, to appease the genocide, to appease a sinister ghoul like Netanyahu. And I just want to know, at this point, now that we have Trump in office, because everyone said what they said about Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, that they were complicit on the genocide, they wanted to continue on. Now that Trump's in office, yeah, it may be good that he had that slight, brief moment to feel some sort of empathy for the Palestinians. But what about now? Where are you going to hold Donald Trump pressure to and hold him accountable for allocating for eventually more war? Because that's what's happening. So, kudos to this guy. Kudos for him to bring this to attention. And anyone that has vicious comments of saying, oh, this guy is a protester, he's interrupting the football game, go sit in your seats. Go shut up and sing. Well, then you're just a sheep. You're a sheep that doesn't understand what the hell is actually happening and why this is significant, why this is important. All the people that care so much about wokeness and cancel culture and you should be eliminated because of someone's free speech. I get that, and I am against the woke culture. But if you're against the woke culture and against cancel culture, then you'll be speaking for people that are demonstrating their free speech and advocating for the peace of Palestinians. You'd be supportive of this guy. You can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't be angry at, woke identity politics and then yell at someone for protesting for Palestinians. You can't do that. It's impossible. It shows what hypocrites you are. But thank God for people like him that did what he did. And does he feel bad? Oh, you're gonna miss out all the football games at the arenas. I don't care. I'll watch it on TV. This is more important. This is more important than football. This is more important than some stupid Super Bowl broadcast. Than how many advertisements that Coca-Cola, Pepsi, Budweiser, Pfizer, Moderna, all the multi-million-dollar commercials are going to throw at you. This is about life and death. And life or death that they're smuggling your tax dollars for. They're smuggling your money to go kill and slaughter other people overseas without your condition, without your consent. And anyone that bothers to question it, they want to threaten. They want to take away your civil liberties. They want to take away your chances of jobs. You will be demised as a person if, God forbid, you speak up and hold accountable to what is happening, the true situation of what's happening overseas. So, kudos to that guy. Props up for him.